There have been rumors about the Los Angeles Lakers and Miami Heat making a deal recently, but some people think it'll never happen. The reason behind that is Pat Riley, who apparently still holds a grudge against LeBron James for leaving the Miami Heat years ago. That might mean that any deal for Andrew Wiggins could be completely dead in the water unless Riley changes his mind. I would be stunned if Pat did this trade. You really think Pat wants to help LeBron James? He's still mad about LeBron leaving Miami. I don't see it happening, per an NBA executive. The Lakers are apparently very intrigued by Wiggins and believe he could be the missing piece the team needs. They think that he would be a two-way player who could immediately slide into the rotation and give them a huge boost, not only on offense but on defense too. The front office would be willing to pay handsomely for Wiggins, but they may not get the chance if Riley is digging his heels in. He knows he holds the upper hand in this situation, and he also has no desire to help the Lakers and James. Even though James brought 2 championships to the Heat, Riley apparently still holds a grudge and isn't letting it go. Of course, a really healthy trade package might alter his view. The Lakers may have to offer up even more if they wish to get Wiggins, because they are dealing with someone who simply does not want to help them. Old grudges are quite impactful in the NBA, but money can always be more powerful. Bringing back Precious Achiuwa on a 1-year non-guaranteed deal might end up being a footnote in the Miami Heat's transaction log. It may also prove once and for all that they have no intention of adding traditional size to the rotation. Yes, Achiuwa is considered a big man, and he could help offset what is, right now, an extremely heavy burden being placed upon Bam Adebayo at the center position. But he's not big in the conventional sense. Listed between 6 feet 8 inches and 6 feet 9 inches, Achiuwa gives up plenty of size to opposing fives. And yet, he doesn't have the dependable jumper required to log a bunch of minutes at the 4 without torpedoing the offense. Using him at center can even be a dice roll. His teams have fared better with him in the game on offense only once. Still, as both a familiar face and someone who promises defensive dynamism, Achiuwa fits the apparent vision head coach Erik Spoelstra and the front office are attempting to actualize. Get ready to see lots of undersized units in Miami. The Heat are already favoring these smaller looks relative to the roster in place. At 6 feet 9 inches, Adebayo is not what you'd call a traditionally sized big man himself. Nikola Jovic, 6 feet 10 inches, and Kel'el Ware are the lone players on the depth chart who stand taller than him. Miami can get to some more orthodox combinations with this personnel. Using Jovic or Ware next to Adebayo deviates from the norm when looking at the potential stretch. On balance, though, it's closer to more conventionally sized lineups. This still leaves plenty of time for secondary units that will have guys like Andrew Wiggins, 6 feet 7 inches, Jamie Jaquez Jr., 6 feet 6 inches, and Simone Fontecchio, 6 feet 8 inches, sponging up reps at the 4 spot, alongside only one of the Heat's bigs. At this rate, we may even see plenty of Keshad Johnson, 6 feet 6 inches, Pal Larson, 6 feet 5 inches, and even Kasparas Jakishionis, 6 feet 6 inches, take on power forward duties if and when one or both of Wiggins and Fontecchio are off the floor. This is a significant philosophical commitment for the Heat. Dynamically sized lineups technically aren't anything new for the Heat. They have leaned on them before. But their one big combinations last season never steered this hard into them. Out of the 5,292 non-garbage time possessions Adebayo played, just 202 came without anyone else standing taller than 6 feet 6 inches, less than 4% of his court time. Of the 2,785 total possessions for which Ware was on the floor, only 116 came without anyone taller than 6 feet 6 inches, just over 4%. The court time for these smaller arrangements should soar if Achiuwa makes the roster. Miami isn't going to play him a bunch at the 4 and might not even turn to him frequently at all. If the Heat wind up waiving him, forget about it. Downsizing will be an even larger part of their identity. Whether that's a good thing is up for debate. In the 1,365 total minutes Adebayo or Ware logged without a true forward or co-big alongside him, the Heat outscored opponents by a total of 2 points. They can't be sure those looks will fare better across a larger sample size. But they sure seem committed to finding out. The Miami Heat needed depth in the front court, and they finally addressed the issue on the eve of the start of NBA training camp. After the Heat signed Precious Achiuwa to a one-year deal, there may not be a happier man on the Heat than Bam Adebayo. The move to bring in another big man will certainly take some of the pressure off Bam's shoulders. Ideally, Precious will be able to give Bam a few more minutes on the sideline and help give Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra more flexibility with his big man rotation. Even though Bam will still carry much of the weight this season for the Heat, there's no question that the signing of Precious will be helpful in not only taking some pressure off Bam, but also Kel'el Ware. And I don't think that's being talked about much, and it should be. This is not just a win for Bam, but it could also be viewed as a victory for Ware. Heading into a sophomore season with significant pressure on his shoulders, he'll more than welcome the added veteran help. Both on and off the floor, there's reason to believe that Precious could be beneficial for Ware as a developing young player. Why the Precious Achiuwa signing was a no-brainer for the Heat. Not only was Precious one of the more experienced big men that the Heat could have signed, but he also has some familiarity with the organization already. Those two things made this an easy no-brainer decision for the Heat. Over the years, it's pretty clear that the Heat has valued familiarity. It's one of the bigger reasons why the Heat would much rather keep their own players rather than make trades and signings just for the sake of change. Unless it's for a significant upgrade, you rarely see the Heat make a move for the fun of it. Even though Precious hasn't exactly been the most productive player over the course of his young career, he does have a proven track record as a capable rotation big. In 57 games played for the New York Knicks last season, Precious averaged 7 points and 6 rebounds on 50% shooting from the field. Sure, Precious is somewhat of an undersized big man, but he can play the position. And at the very least, he'll give Miami another body that could buy them some minutes or a few games when Bam or Ware need the break. In the end, the Heat had to make some sort of addition to their frontcourt soon. Making the signing of Precious official always seems like the most logical outcome. And there is not a player on the roster who will benefit more from this move than Bam. The Pistons lost to the New York Knicks in the first round of the 2025 playoffs in 6 games, while the Heat lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round in 4 games. For the Heat last season, Herro averaged 23.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 0.9 steals, and 0.2 blocks in 77 games. He made his first All-Star team and shot 47.2% from the field, 37.5% from beyond the arc, and 87.8% from the free throw line. The 25-year-old will make $31 million next season. Meanwhile, Jovic averaged 10.7 points, 3.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 0.8 steals, and 0.3 blocks in 46 games, while shooting 45.6% from the floor, 37.1% from 3, and 82.8% from the foul line. The 22-year-old will make $4.4 million next season. While Herro and Jovic need to be paid soon, the latter has restricted free agency awaiting him next summer, while the former is slated for unrestricted free agency in 2027. Detroit would be able to take at least one playoff trip with a tandem before deciding whether one or both is worth a long-term investment, Buckley wrote. Given how snug this fit appears on paper, chances are the Pistons would want to keep both of them around. Detroit head coach J.B. Bickerstaff could start Cade Cunningham, Herro, Ozar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Jalen Duren next season if the Pistons front office acquired Herro from the Heat.